Second trimester video. I've already spoke about what happened sort of from finding out to weeks 13 in my first trimester video. So if you haven't seen that, go and have a watch. Week 13, I started getting sciatic nerve pain and hip pain, mainly in the evening when I was trying to sleep. I did get sciatic nerve pain before pregnancy, so I'm assuming that made me more susceptible to having that in pregnancy as well. Sorry, hip pain was when I was trying to sleep. Sciatic nerve pain was mainly when I was standing and walking around. It's sort of like a feeling where you put your foot on the ground and electric shocks go through your leg and through your back, basically. That's how I experience it or describe it to people anyway. Yeah, and then I got the hip pain at night. Obviously, you're told to sleep on your sides in pregnancy, mainly your left side if you can. You know, before pregnancy wasn't an issue, but when you're pregnant, everything softens and everything gets a bit looser. So, yeah, it did start to get hip pain sleeping on my sides. And to be honest, that's only got worse throughout the whole of the pregnancy. It's never gone away. The sciatic nerve pain has eased. It's just been covered by the multitude of other aches and pains that I've developed. Week 14, I look back through my texts and I text a couple of people saying I wasn't sure if I'd felt movement or if the baby was on a nerve. And looking back now, I do think they were movements. At the start, it's really hard to pinpoint when you first start feeling movements because you're not sure what they are. They're so subtle that I'd probably know what they were in like my second pregnancy now. But you know, this being my first pregnancy, I'd never experienced that before. I wasn't sure until I was sure, if that makes sense. So somewhere between week 14 and 18, I started feeling movements. They didn't feel like flutters like everyone describes. I would say it felt like some form of bodily function, but I wasn't sure what it was. So I remember, I remember saying to people like, I feel something in my stomach, but I don't know if I need the toilet. I don't know if I'm hungry. You know, I felt something. I couldn't put my finger on it or what it was. Like it could have been movements, it could have been something else. It probably wasn't until I'd say about week 17, 18, they started happening at the same time of day that I realised they were movements. So they happened between, I'd say, 3 and 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And as they get more intense, I personally found it to be more like a rolling. It's even strange going to your 12-week scan and seeing almost like something that's already baby shaped, even though they're tiny. They look like a baby at 12 weeks. And they're rolling around inside you and moving. And you can't feel it. Like at your 12-week scan, you can't actually feel the movements that you can see that is happening on the screen. At week 16, I got more back aching. So specifically when I was trying to sleep. So if this is your first pregnancy and you're watching, or you might just be able to relate to this having been pregnant before, but nobody tells you about this stuff. When you have your first morning stretch in bed, just don't bother. Honestly, if you stretch too hard, you give yourself the worst leg cramps going. Like it's just not worth it. I really struggled to sleep on my sides in my second trimester. I know it's recommended, especially to sleep on your left hand side. I personally find it really difficult. If I don't know if every woman experiences the same like softening of all the muscles and all the ligaments, or if some people get. I'm assuming some people get it worse than others. So I often find myself waking up on my back, or like my back was the only way I could go to sleep, even though it's not really recommended in pregnancy. I think that's only from like 20 something weeks onwards. But honestly, I wasn't too worried about it or not putting too much pressure on myself because I'd read anyway that if you do sleep on your back and something wasn't right, you'd be getting symptoms anyway. So if I just woke up on my back, I tried again to sleep on my sides. If that wasn't comfy, I'd sleep on the other side. If that wasn't comfy, I'd sleep on my back and give up at that point. Week 18, we found out the gender. So we went for a private scan actually on the Saturday. Luckily, they could tell the gender because we had organised a gender reveal gathering in our garden for the Sunday. They say not to do it for like the day after, just in case they can't see the gender at the scan at the time. But obviously, luckily, it worked out. We didn't actually see that much at the scan because we didn't want to find out the gender at the scan. She kept telling us to close our eyes at certain points just in case we saw anything. She checked through baby's organs and like checked baby was healthy, everything like that. So yeah, the weird thing about that scan was obviously then two people knew the gender and we didn't know. They gave us a little scan that said the gender on it, and then also we bought a confetti cannon to do the next day with our family as well. So on the Sunday we found out we were having a little boy. I feel like I knew that I was having a boy. There wasn't a part of me that thought I was having a girl. It got to like the scan itself and to the point of the gender reveal where I thought, I've not actually considered that we could be having a girl. I've just, in my head, he's a boy. And I've not even like contemplated the fact that it could be a girl. So it wasn't until around the time of the gender reveal that I was like, oh, I actually need to like deep the fact that I could be having a girl and like, consider that as a possibility because I hadn't. I don't know what it is. I've always just seen myself as a boy mum. And with the symptoms that I had in the first trimester, I didn't have any sickness, tiredness, nausea, anything like that. And people tend to say you get those types of symptoms or you have a harder time more with girls than you do boys. Obviously, I know that everyone's symptoms and experiences are different, but these are more like old wives' tales. So it really wasn't surprising to me when, the confetti was blue. It was kind of like yeah, I already knew that. Then at 20 weeks, we had the NHS scan. I wasn't too worried about that because we'd already had the scan at 18 weeks and she checked his organs, things like that. And we obviously knew he was okay then. So no abnormalities showed at 20-week scan. He was looking healthy. And I feel like 20 weeks was like around the time when my belly really popped. Like I actually looked pregnant as opposed to bloated pregnant. And then at 24 weeks was when I started to see like flickers, movements through my belly. Like I could look at my skin and see like little twitches when he was moving. But all in all, second trimester was great. I've actually been really lucky throughout my pregnancy. I haven't really had any concerning symptoms. No bleeding, no, like, nothing, honestly, just nothing abnormal. The most difficult thing I've had is the pain in my back, my hips, sciatic nerve pain, and ligament pain. That started off just being at night mainly, but as time's gone on, it's constant now. But I am 38 weeks pregnant now, so I will discuss all the symptoms that have sort of got worse or that I'm struggling with more in the third trimester video. So I will catch you in that one.